I'll be starting a cosplay of Raeliana from how Raeliana ended up at the Duke's Mansion, or why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's Mansion. I will be making her manhwa version instead of the anime version. I will show you guys the difference with two photos on the screen. As you can see, the anime version has a lot less little, I think, prettier details, and it just looks kind of blocky, and I think it looks a little bit uglier. Meanwhile, the manhwa version is a lot more detailed. I think it's a lot more shimmery, oh my gosh, shimmery and kind of princessy, and I really like that. I think it's really beautiful. And there are outfits I definitely like more in the series, but I chose this one because it'll probably be the most recognizable, and I do love them all. It's just, I probably don't love this one as much as others, but I'm still very excited for it. I will be using a pattern for some of it, but it hasn't arrived yet, so how I'll actually be starting this off is, today I'm going to be starting by pre-washing this fabric. Look at how pretty it is. I don't actually know which side is the right side, so I'm going to have to look that up. It's really shiny. I will put the material or the fabric link in the description from Joann's. I actually went to Joann's to just buy an emerald green, like plain kind of shimmery fabric, but all the fabric they didn't have enough, and I saw that one and I really loved it, and I thought if I'm ordering online, I may as well order this one anyways. It wasn't too expensive either. It is kind of a thin material, so I will be picking up a heavier lining probably tomorrow for it. And then we'll be ready to go. Well, I don't have the pattern either. I'm going to be trying gold foil for the bottom of the dress to create that little like freckly, pretty, sparkly pattern she has. Once again, I'll put a photo of it. I think it's really, really beautiful. I just don't really know how to pull it off. So I'm going to take a small chunk of fabric and experiment with that. And then I'll also be doing a little experiment with the ruffles. I want the ruffles on the bottom to be absolutely perfect. I wasn't the biggest fan of my Annis ruffles on my last cosplay I made, and I realized, you know what, I should practice this. So this is kind of like me practicing little skills to lead up to the bigger cosplay. So I think, oh, and buttons, making buttonholes. I, weirdly enough, have not done that before. Anyways, I think that it will make my cosplay look a lot better in the end to practice these skills and to do these like experiments while I'm waiting on the other smaller parts of the cosplay. Experiment number 1 is going to entail putting gold foil on this and seeing if it lays out the way I want to. I'm gonna be honest, I cannot find the directions on their website, but I have used Cricut Vinyl before, so I'm gonna try using it the same way and see if that works out, which is basically I'm gonna iron it with cloth over it, so then it doesn't stick to the iron. Technically speaking, there's fabric paint. Second experiment, while the first one is in progress because Amazon, we will be trying to get the perfect ruffle because she has white ruffles at the bottom of her dress, and along with that I want to actually figure out how to best attach ruffles to the bottom of a hemmed skirt. I'm going to try 2 different ruffles. I'm going to try to fold the fabric and also scrunch the fabric and see which one turns out better. The 2 perfect ruffles I made. I realized what I was doing wrong on the other cosplay and I need 2 lines of stitches, but I also found this method of like pleating them, which I think is kind of cool, and I think they both actually look really beautiful. So, well, there we go. Would need some ironing. So I'm actually going to put a vote on my story and see what you guys think, and then that will be how we decide. I think I'm leaning towards this one though. While I'm waiting for stuff on the new parts of this cosplay I'm working on, I'm starting on the blouse part. I decided after some time thinking that the skirt and blouse will be separate and the corset will go over both in the middle. So the blouse, I'm using this pattern, which actually has a bit of a sweet story to it. So when I was a kid, we would go thrifting all the time, and there was a big box of sewing patterns that somebody dropped off that had never been cut into or anything, and I actually have a lot of them, and I've actually used most of them. I think this is like one of the last 3 I haven't used, and this is so perfect because I'm basically making, if you really think about Raeliana's shirt, it's really just a regular button-up shirt, but it has this flounce. And And that's all it really comes down to. Because of that, I'm not making the mock-up. I didn't really see it as important to do. Well, I actually do see it as really important to do. It's really late at night. It's just I'm so crunched for time. I think I can spend more time on quality type bits rather than the mock-up. I know a lot of my videos lately have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so crunched for time. And I'm so sorry about that. I had Level Up Expo in February and we went straight to Isekai Con. Then we went straight to Sakura Con, and now we're going straight to Anime Town, and it has just been back to back, and I don't mean to rush projects, so I'm really looking forward to the next 3 months of no project rush. So this is where I think it starts to get a little bit tricky. So I laid out the front pieces and the back piece. This pattern by default uses the same fabric for all of it. You're just supposed to fold these over and that's how you get your button areas. The problem is hers is supposed to be white. So I'm actually going to cut off these pieces, and then later on I'm going to actually use the pieces I cut off as pattern, and then I'll add ruffles like I was going to already. I think I'm actually going to add those white pieces first, so I'm going to get started on that by cutting these off and using these as a pattern on the. I wish you guys could touch this fabric that I'm using for this white part. This is the most soft, beautiful fabric ever. Pressed it and then I folded it over, and then I actually added a understitch to keep it in place. And it's interfaced too, so I'm going to do this now on the other side. Okay, now that I have both of these, I'm going to add in the frills to the sides and sew them down. Okay, before I go to bed tonight, this is where I left off. So right now I am basically, it's not like a pleat, but it's like a little messy type of pleat. And I'm not going all the way down with the ruffles because there's going to be a corset here too. Okay, here's the first completed side, and that's what it's going to look like from there up once it's buttoned. But I'm going to work on sewing the pieces now together. Once again, French seaming them, then I'll show you when I'm done. Could you please scoot your butt off my cosplay project? This is where it is right now. Not looking too bad. Okay, I sewed on the tops of the sleeves, and I'm going to take a quick Joann's run and then sew up the side and the rest of the sleeve. I think two of my least favorite things in sewing, which this cosplay features quite a bit of, is zippers and sleeves, and I think it's just because I need to get more comfortable with them. But since having this as a tool, I think I'm a lot more comfortable with sleeves too. You can see why the gold foil won't work out. I find that you have to put on the glue very thick, and I don't think I would have enough of that, and it takes a few days to ship. And even if you do put on the glue pretty thick, there's still like some amount of gaps and all. It does look pretty cool though. I think this could be really useful in the future, and I'm glad I learned this, but I don't think I'll use it for this project. Okay, here's what the top currently looks like. With buttonholes and stuff, it'll look like this. Then I'm going to take off some of the fabric and add some frills. I have to admit though, the inside is very clean. Look at how nice and clean it is on the inside. I love it so much. Okay, here we are now. I added these. I kind of don't like how they will show. I want to find a way to clean this up to make it look better. I think I might cut it that way too, because then there'll be even heights. I don't know why that's really bothering me. So this was actually my first time ever sewing buttonholes onto a cosplay, which sounds crazy for how long I've done this. I just don't do a lot of characters that have button-up shirts. So here is the final results, and they're okay. They're not the cleanest buttonholes I've ever seen, but they are. I think they're actually good for a first. Okay, the top is done. So next up will be the skirt, which will go here, and then the corset will go over. Well, I mean, the corset's going next, but you know what I mean. I'm really proud of this. It looks really good. It's actually a little snap under here too, because the buttonhole wouldn't work out, so. Okay, I just took a quick Shake Shack run and got this really good shape, and now I'm ready to start draping the corset. Tomorrow I'm going to start cutting the fabric because tonight I desperately need gaming time. I'm gonna start cutting the lining for the corset, but first this thing needs to come off my desk. He's got some string there, it looks like. Hey, what if I just take this and put it down here? Look at this. Come on. There he goes. Okay, my lining's done. Here is where the boning actually like adds some curve because there's a big overlap right now, but I'm going to cut out the fabric for the main part. Look at how flat that seam is. That is really satisfying. Okay, last night I did half the corset, but then I started to make silly mistakes, so I stopped before I made too many silly mistakes. So now I'm gonna finish it up, at least the outside layer, and then we can bind the inside, which looks like that, and the outside layer. Okay, I have sewn all the edges together, and now I am going to finish them off in bias tape. It's a bit of bias that I did. And I think it came out pretty clean, like you can see the stitching under there. But like when it's seen from the front, you really can't see the stitching. And here's what the back looks like. Okay, the corset is mostly done. Here it is up close. And here it is with the shirt too. I need to hand sew in the little panel on the back, if you remembered. And that panel will be hand sewn in. And because of that, I am saving it for last, so it'll be a part of my little hand sewing session, which this button actually needs to go back on. So I own a few patterns for different ball gown skirts, but I wanted one with the right volume. So I actually ordered another. Originally I was going to use this and modify it for the top piece, but I didn't. So instead I'm gonna use this historical one, separate skirt piece, because I think this will give the right amount of volume. Like I really didn't want a huge amount. Like my other one had like an 8-yard skirt. This one has like a 6-yard skirt, so it's a little bit less bulky. Nice, this is only 4 pieces that I would need. And because I'm not following the actual directions with it, it won't take that long. This cat. What are you can't step there. Where do you think you're going? There's nowhere to go. You are stuck. Yeah, there you go. I love you. Alright, I laid out the lining here because it's a bit easier for me to visualize this way or see the bottom and how even it is. Next up, I am actually going to hem the bottom, and it's going to be a couple inches shorter than the outside layer. But here it is. So that's kind of how the outside layer will look once it's done, but a lot smoother and such because of the lining layer being there. So I did another test with, this is Cricut iron-on vinyl. And then I did some more gold foiled bits, and I think that's how I'm going to do the bottom, but this is like a very terrible example. So it'll just kind of hang like that, you know? I also just lined up all the spots where I want grommets, and we'll place grommets in here. Okay, so this is gonna just hit you like a train, but my neighbor just lent me her Cricut. So I went over there and showed her the design for the bottom of the dress. She's like, you can just use my Cricut. Cool. I did the test print. I've never used one of these before, but I think I have the hang of it. I mean, I have a degree in computer science. So I actually am not that incredibly intelligent, but I use that to comfort myself through everything. Like if something's frustrating me, I go, you know, I have a degree in computer science, I can get through it. Even though I still have to make a zipper tonight. But I'm gonna work on printing some of those designs since I have this. I just made that, and I'm gonna try to print like 10 of those, but I'm gonna do a test one right now and then we'll print the rest. Okay, in the past half hour I've learned that a Cricut machine is one of the most fun tools I have ever used in my life, hands down, and I entirely and completely understand why people are obsessed with them now. I get the hype. So I did a sample. This press uses so much power, but it works so well. Like it was, my whole light in here was going, like it was zooming in and out, or I don't know, dimming. But here's some of the test ones I did. Da-da-da-da. So as you can see here, I have like a whole sheet of them ready to be printed. We'll see how this goes. This is so freaking cool. Da, 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 da. Walmart is open till 11. Let's freaking do this right after this print is finished. Okay, all the pieces are cut of fabric and the vinyl. I'm going to be crunching some numbers to figure out how much goes on each piece. Okay, so here's my math. I made 4 different sizes: large, small, tiny, and medium. And I counted how many I had each, and then I divided them up and figured out how much I wanted to put on the piece for each piece of the skirt. I'm going to cut these all apart and then put them into groups. You know, this is like a lot of work for prep, but okay, I sorted them into groups from back, side, other side, center, side, side, back. Alright, now I also have all the skirt pieces trimmed down and organized. And these are all organized too. Three out of 7 pieces in, right? I'm 3 out of 7 pieces in right now. Of course, they aren't sewn together. Alright, so here's where I currently stand with the Raeliana skirt. Okay, the waistband is on now. It's not the cleanest I've ever done. And it actually is pretty good though. Hey, it's like probably a week later, and before closing out this video, because I was in a rush when it ended, or when ooh, my hair's frizzy, I just got out of cosplay. I want to really quickly show you guys some of the last minute stuff I did, so you're not too confused. And some of the things I did were sewing on this waistband. This waistband instead of hooks, because I was in a massive rush, and hooks take a while to sew on. The zipper is right here, and then at the top the snaps just go here and here, and ta-da! And here's the bottom. The ruffles are pleated ruffles like on the shirt, and on the top I didn't change anything. I just added a lace to the corset in the end too. It did win best in the novice category. I was so happy to finally win. So the next cosplay contest I will be competing in intermediate. I won't be announcing it yet, but you will see it soon. I have to order custom fabric for it and such, so it's quite a bit of work. But thank you so much for watching this, guys. I had so much fun making this, and Raeliana's just a character I love so much. Like, I'm so happy it got an anime adaptation, because I don't really do manhwa characters until they do. Just because I don't know how popular manhwa is, but honestly I'm finding out that there's like just such a big audience for it, and it makes me so happy. I've enjoyed like webtoons and such since middle school. It just brings me so much happiness to see so many people getting into it. I hope that there's a gazillion people who are into it one day, and more people can enjoy anime and manhwa like why Raeliana ended up in the Duke's Mansion. It deserves so much love. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!